Morning everybody. It's the last day of April and here in town we're having quite a nice day. There's really no wind off the lake per se, which we've had a lot of, so it's been real chilly. In fact, last night was the first night I haven't had a fire in the house since, well, since I probably started burning in November. And here in Minnesota we have a stay-at-home order, so as you can guess we got lots of time on our hands, and I kind of went through and made a list of different projects that I wanted to try and do while I'm here at home. It's been a few weeks now since we've been up to the cabin, although I hope to get up there in the next few days and do a couple things and get my trailer and stuff, but I'll show you a few things I've done here at the house besides what I'm working on right now. So I've had these porch chairs, kind of rockers, sliders I guess you call them, for quite a long time and never put a finish on them. So I decided this would be one of my projects that I would work on. So I'm just sanding off some of the surface, discoloration and dirt and stuff, and I'll put a little coat of stain on there and let it dry, and we should be good for the summer. So I'm gonna keep working on that, and the dog is over here. I'll show you her after a bit, but I'll keep working on these slats here, and we can get it cleaned up and get some stain on it. I've got a second chair as well that I will do. So anyway, we'll keep going. So this sanding pad is pretty much wore off. These are almost, well, there's like a little cloth backing on this and a rubber pad with almost like Velcro on it, so they just stick on. You try and line up these holes so they're little dust holes. Slapping the new one on, and we'll get this finished up. Then I just do a little bit of hand sanding to get some spots that can't reach very well with the sander here. Get some of these bolts here on the bottom, make sure they're all tight. See, we're missing one on that, so I have to try and find one of those in my pile of nuts around here. I just wanted to show you the kind of oil. I had some of this downstairs in my shop. I've used this Watco Danish oil before in different finishes. This is a light color golden oak it's called, and it will well, it won't add a whole lot of color to this since these chairs are kind of dark and stained from over the years, but it should give it some protection for sure. And I've really liked this particular product, so we'll slap some of that on there and see how it turns out. Not too worried about getting any sort of even finish. I just want to get a bunch of this on there, and then it'll dry. Today we're supposed to be in the 60s, which I don't know if we will be right by the lake here, but what I like about these oils is they just go on so even. I mean, you could use a rag too, but I had some of these brushes in the garage, so that's what I'll use. We'll just get a nice, good, thick finish on these. Should be good for the summer. Well, you get the idea what it's looking like, so I'm going to obviously turn off the camera. You don't need to watch me do the whole chair, but I'll show you what it looks like when I got all the stain on it, and before we move to the next chair. So I have this coat of Watco now on the whole chair, and I may put a second coat on at least this top surface here once it dries. I'm going to move it into the sun a little bit, and while I'm sanding and staining the second chair, this one should dry, and then I'll slap a second coat on this one after the other one is done. And I think it's looking pretty nice, and it should help preserve that wood. Alright, I got 2 coats of stain on these gliders. They're sitting here in the sun now, and I'm going to leave them sit here this afternoon so they can cure and dry real nice, and then we'll move them up on the porch again later. So I want to just go show you a couple other projects that I've done here at the house since we've been in isolation. You do a few things in the house, and then you decide you need to go outside and do some stuff. So I'll go in the back and show you a couple things that I've done here in the last couple weeks or so. There's Kira patiently waiting for me to pay attention to her, since she's been in the backyard while I've been working on the chairs. I suspect she's been digging a little bit, it looks like. Yes, she has. So while I was in the front, she was in the back, doing a little bit of landscaping, I guess. So anyway, one of the projects I did was I fenced my gardens, and I did that for 2 reasons. One is the dog, since she likes to go in that nice loose black dirt, compost and dig. But just as important was the rabbits. We've got so darn many rabbits here in our neighborhood, and every spring or when I plant a garden it germinates, and then the rabbits would come in and eat off the first of the greens, and then it would regenerate and grow again, but it sets you back. And so I thought, well, with the dog now and that, I'll put the fence around the gardens and keep both of them out. This isn't a new thing, but my little greens cart, so I'll plant some lettuce, spinach, kale in there, and then I have it on wheels so that when it gets really hot I can move it in the shade like in the afternoon and stuff. And so that's worked out well. I've had that for a couple years. And then you take your scissors and cut off a crop for a while, and then it just regerminates. And if you do it right, it can kind of keep greens coming all summer long. So here's my side garden alongside the garage here. And again, I have this all fenced off now. And that'll keep the rabbits and the dogs out of there. And then I also fenced off my raised beds, and I have cedar chips. I laid down some more in between to keep the weeds. So I have cardboard, landscaping cloth, and then cedar chips laid down. And I'll do carrots and beets and radishes and I forget everything I got. So that works out pretty well. I usually put a squash here in this bed, and then that seems to run. And I usually get 8 or 10 squash out of one plant, and in these little baskets I usually put some herbs and that some stuff in those so I can get a few herbs out of there. Some chives that keep coming back every year. I cleaned out my woodshed. Actually, it was my dog kennel originally, so now with Kira I still have to finish cleaning on the inside, but this was all full of firewood and that, so I can put her out here, and then you can see there's a door that goes through the garage, and then I have it fenced off inside, so when it's cooler or raining or snowing or whatever, the dog can go in there and lay on some straw and that, so that works out pretty good. And then all that firewood actually ended up in there. I just built this addition on my shed so I can put kindling, campfire wood we use for our winter camping stove in there. So that project took me a few days, and the only thing left to do on it now is to paint it, since that's just pine. But and then I want to put a little gate fence on there because the dog likes to grab a chunk of wood and run around with it and chew on it and stuff, so I can keep her out of there. So those are just a few of my COVID isolation projects that I've done over the last few weeks, and I've got a few more on my list we'll work on.